This segment is brought to you by A.J. Doman Chevrolet. We say yes when others say no.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And when we have updates that are coming through from St. Mary Parish Sheriff's Office, as one place to go, we turn to Lieutenant David Spencer. David, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. You know, Lieutenant, it's one of those things where we just maybe do a kind of a routine stop that just turns into something much bigger. Tell us a little bit about Mr. Corey James Hunter and what we figured out.
Our guys were doing a proactive patrol. I mean, we don't necessarily want them to, in the middle of the night, just pull over and sit somewhere.
Right.
And they're good about watching those neighborhoods. You know, are people pulling on doors? Are there things going on? Mm-hmm. So they drove into a neighborhood, Syracuse, and noticed a man that was stumbling in the road, actually had fallen. And thinking he was probably maybe on something or intoxicated, they decided to check on him. And as they got close in the marked patrol unit, he started to run. When he ran, he fell into a ditch that had some water in it. And so obviously they were concerned about his well-being. So they got him out of that ditch. And as they were working on this, he was, not being truthful as far as who he was. And he refused Acadian. And so they decided, hey, let's get this guy checked out. He's got some issues. He had drugs on him. And took him to a hospital, got him checked out. And when he was released, they took him in for booking. During that time, they ran his name through NCIC, and wow, he came up with a warrant out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, in a homicide case. Wow. So that's what happens with proactive patrol. Some people kind of get a little aggravated when they get pulled over for something, but all in all, the whole deal is we're trying to keep our community safe. And so here was a guy walking around who could be involved in a pretty bad homicide case. And I'm glad our guys were on it that night. He was one of our patrol sergeants, and he was FTOing a trainee, and they just did some great work.
Yeah, and seems like he was held with several charges, resisting arrest or an officer on 3 counts, possession of drug paraphernalia, possession of CDS in a drug-free zone, transactions involving proceeds from drug offenses, resisting an officer by giving false information, disturbing the peace while intoxicated, possession of cocaine with the intent to distribute. And it looks like he was held initially on a $350,000 bail, and then that changed, right?
Well, he was held on $350,000 bond, and that was just for the St. Mary charges.
Right.
That doesn't really even count. A hold was placed on him by Albuquerque Police Department.
Right.
And yeah.
And we also had
the bail.
Go ahead.
Sorry. They may be adjusted, but he's when he gets finished with us, he's got to go to Albuquerque and face those charges there. And speaking of, he also had charges of possession of cocaine, resisting an officer, flight from an officer, driving under suspension, failure to signal when turn, and possession of drug paraphernalia. So it's been quite a bit, right? Right. And those were 3 warrants that we had locally for those.
Right. Again, some of those. Yeah. And we also had another interesting case. Tell us a little bit about all of this, these bottles you guys were able to find and figure out, these 1,800 bottles of synthetic CBD that was seized. Right.
Yeah, that's kind of a wild thing that happened. Our narcotics division detectives were working on a case. They had conducted a traffic stop and found 4 boxes of these little CBD liquid vape things, and it was amounted to 1,800 little bottles, which each of them range $100 and up a little bit, depending on who's buying them, I guess. We already kind of figured these were a problem, but they went ahead and sent them to the Acadiana crime lab, and sure enough, came back as synthetic. And synthetic cannabinoids are really more of an issue than some people realize. We've had some people in the parish to really honestly look like they weren't going to make it.
Wow.
And some that probably didn't because of this kind of stuff. Our kids are out there. They want to vape something that would give them a little buzz they think would be cool, but this is very, very dangerous.
Right.
And that was the biggest thing we wanted to get out about this is to let parents and young people know that this is something you need to steer clear of, and it is illegal.
Right. I also got some different names, K2, spice, or fake weed, and it seems benign, all of those types of titles, but it's not. It can be very, very harmful. We've seen lots of people with lots of health risks, huh?
Very much so. And you know, if you compare this to weed itself, there's no comparison. This stuff is really bad.
Yeah.
Very much, if your kids are playing with this, you need to clue in, parents, and really understand what they're getting into. This is not good.
Right. Some of the health risks, as we close now, are seizures, breathing problems, chest pain or rapid heartbeat, bleeding disorders, high blood pressure, and potential overdose. So, again, a lot of health risks, as you mentioned. We're so very thankful for these routine stops and for your traffic, your parole division really doing a great job of getting people off the street and, quite frankly, getting some drugs off and potentially someone who's being held for murder off the street. We appreciate it very, very much.
Thanks for having us. Hey, doing some good stuff in St. Mary. We're going to keep doing it.
We appreciate it very much. Thank you so much for your time. All right, Detective. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment, but don't go anywhere. I got a whole lot more right here on Bayou Time.
This segment was brought to you by A.J. Doman Chevrolet. We say yes when others say no.